Faced with that Native American protester, the scene quickly sparked outrage online. But now another video is raising new questions about what really happened before the incident. A teen at the center of it all is now speaking out. ABC's Ariel Reshef has the latest.
Overnight, one of the teens at the center of this now viral encounter defending himself, saying these initial images don't tell the whole story. A clip of Nick Sandman appearing to stare down Nathan Phillips, a 65-year-old Native American and Vietnam veteran, surrounded by a crowd of teens, many wearing Make America Great Again hats, sparking an internet firestorm. Sandman now saying he and his family are receiving death threats, claiming in a statement, "I was not intentionally making faces at the protester. I did smile at one point because I wanted him to know that I was not going to become angry, intimidated, or provoked into a larger confrontation." Phillips claims the teens were chanting, "Build that wall." So far, no footage is...
say to children of today's world.
The year was 1967. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. speaking to a group of young people about being their absolute best.
However young you are, you have a responsibility to seek to...
Now,
Well, Welcome to the most hated show in the black corner of the internet. That's right, I'm your host, Mr. Blows Your Minds, coming with another thought-provoking live show. First and foremost, I want to thank subscribers that should be in the house. What's good, fam? Subscribers, passerbys, welcome. It's always a grand opening over here. You know what a grand opening do. You go down the aisles, find something you like. Maybe hit that like button, hit that dislike button, or hit that comment, whatever you like to do, or even also subscribe. And the mystery people in the background, you're doing a wonderful job at suppressing, making sure that this channel here seems like no one is looking. But again, you got to do what you got to do because these are the signs of the time, right? So, you know, I got to get my spiel out before I get it going. Hello and welcome to the Black Minds News and TV show, right? I'm your host, Mr. Blows Your Mind, and this channel is to report, transmit, communicate, articulate, relay, decode, unveil, spread the news, whether it's by news, video, websites, or quotes from publication. As I articulate these information, I ask that the creator of the universe be here, heart, mind, soul, and spirit. Because you know why? The creator don't need no partner. And as a descendant of the greatest people who created this place that you call the United States, I am a descendant of that. And over here, as a descendant of slaves, we give honor to them for the sacrifice and what they done gave everybody in this nation, except for the children. The prosperity of them have got nothing. Well, it's coming. It's coming. You know what my motto is? I'm never going to tell you what I heard. I'm only going to tell you what I know. That's right, y'all. Once again, it's on. Once again, it's on. It's always popping and snapping in this land. Always things happening, right? And it's incumbent on us that those are part of the black media to bring forth information and again, whether it be news or some kind of discernment or some kind of history or just life in itself, right? Because again, this is the time, right? It's only this time and this era and this place and time is a great time to be here because a lot of stuff is going to just manifest as time goes on. And so today being the official government looking at day, right? Again, for those who, again, I don't understand how I celebrate my birthday when my birthday is on a specific day. I end up celebrating it on some other day to make it a convenience for you, right? So again, as you know, on this show, we had already touched on that. But again, in this show, we will touch something upon it because, again, we give honor to our ancestors. Again, some people may disagree on some of the things that have made of ideology, but again, when somebody has given the ultimate sacrifice, and even though maybe not the way we wanted it to be, but in that case, we still gonna give honor. Okay, so now let's get into this show, right? So, you know, those of us who come from where I come from, right? You from them parts, right? You come up out of the muck and the mud, or rose out of the concrete. Right? You know that the environment we live in and the hostility that sometimes is created due to the simple fact of unemployment, right? Pressures of being in a country that you oppressed, disenfranchised in, that it breeds and then not having employment and then there's somebody throwing crumbs and the crumbs are actually a 2-for-1, cuts you in one way and cutting other people in another, right? And then, you know, there's the element of just trying to just survive because, again, sometimes everybody is not under the same mindset. And so things transpire unbeknownst. And then when you're in a situation like that, what you do? Well, you look for some help. Say you should happen to have a physical ailment that causes an emergency, right? First thing you do, if you makes you in the point where you're incapacitated, hopefully somebody's around, they'll do is they'll pick up the telephone, and then what they'll do is they'll make a call. Right? That's the way we've been programmed. That's what we understand. And we use that when the time is appropriate, when those who need it. So here's a story that I'm about to lay out for you that happened to a sister right? This happened to a sister here. And, you know, we have to look at this. Because, again, in this story, it's going to disseminate some information that, again, we kind of already know, right? We know that already. But, again, when they give you the word or the phrase of what it really is, then you're not guessing. Again, it's kind of like I ain't going to tell you what I heard. I'm going to tell you what I know, right? So you're not guessing as to what it is, right? What you talking about, Mr. Blows Your Mind? Well, check this out. Let's see if they're going to let me get off on the right foot tonight. You know how they normally do, right? Hold on. Slow your roll, see? Look at that.
In Health Watch, a Milwaukee woman's death is...
See, look, it don't make sense, right? It just don't make sense. It's because you all up in my system, right? But it's all good because, again, it's going to show must go on, regardless to what you doing, right? So let's see how we're going to get it. Let's see if we can get it back to what I needed there because it's doing some funny stuff already. Yeah, you already on that, huh? All right, so I'm going to have to do it this way because somehow it is. I don't understand how it's doing that. But hold on for a second. Let's do this, and we shall get it and do it the right way. Let's get it. And let me hit it, and let's get it.
In Health Watch, a Milwaukee woman's death is drawing attention to the controversy surrounding what's called ambulance diversions. Tiffany Tate worked at the Medical College of Wisconsin when she suffered a stroke. She worked just 350 yards from the area's best hospital for strokes, but the ambulance did not take her there.
Tiffany was sent to another hospital with limited stroke care where she eventually died. An investigation by the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel looks into ambulance diversions and why it's happening in many of the country's largest cities. John Dietrich is the investigative reporter for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel and helped to write this article. John, thank you so much. This was really illuminating. I think a lot of people have heard of diversions. We know that sometimes when hospitals get overwhelmed, they may temporarily shut down their emergency rooms to new patients, but not to the degree that your article spells out. So explain to us exactly what an ambulance diversion is and why a hospital would implement this policy.
Well, it starts off with a hospital being overcrowded, overrun with individuals. The problem is that this is not just a problem that happens in the ED, but it's the result of inefficiencies and crowding throughout a system. And it's really the result of hospitals being inefficient operations that haven't modernized. And in the places where we know this, because in the places where diversions have been eliminated, it hasn't been done through adding beds or making EDs bigger. It's through a sort of a holistic, if you will, approach to making hospitals more efficient. And this is, as you noted, is happening across the country. And Tiffany Tate's example just shows the significance and importance of getting this right.
You know, John, I think a lot of people who read your piece and are watching this segment are going to be absolutely heartbroken and also shocked about Tiffany's case because, as we pointed out, she worked less than half a mile from one of the top stroke treatment centers. If she had gone to that hospital in any other way other than an ambulance, would she have been diverted?
No, and that's a great point. Under federal law, people who drive up or walk up to an ED are required by federal law to be treated there. So if she had been put in a wheelchair and rolled over there or brought by a friend or whatnot, they would have had to care for her. And just to keep in mind, this is a comprehensive stroke center, Freighter it is. They're able to do the kind of level of stroke care that's only available at the highest level, not only in this area but across the country. And that's really what we need, what she needed. We can tell that from 7,000 pages of medical records we've gone through that she was suffering from large vascular occlusion, and the treatment they could provide at Freighter was just what we needed. To be clear, we don't know for sure whether she would have survived. Experts were clear on that, but everybody agreed that she would have had a much better chance.
So one thing that your article points out is that the diversion policy can last for hours and almost most of the day for some hospitals. I was under the impression that this might happen for a couple hours out of the day when they were really swamped. But you're talking about hospitals that are like that for 17 hours. And in some cases, half of the hospitals in Milwaukee were diverting ambulances. Just how do hospital officials justify this just on an ethical level? I mean, their whole job is to help the sick and in need.
Well, this is a practice that goes back decades, and it's been shown in studies not only to endanger patients but not work. But it was supposed to be a drastic measure that came in years ago, as I said. And the problem is it's become routine in a lot of communities where one hospital will go on diversion. As you said, Frederick was on diversion for 17 hours that day. And in response, other hospitals will go on diversion, and pretty soon you have a good chunk of your city on diversion, and then they have to force everybody open. That happens sometimes, or ambulance drivers are frustrated and having to drive around looking for a place to bring patients. So it's not a good situation. It's continued on. Some places, as I said, have gotten rid of it, and other places continue to struggle with this issue. It's a big problem. 2/3 of the largest cities in the country, it's allowed there. In some places, it's an acute, problematic situation.
John, we've only got about 30 seconds, but are there any efforts underway to change this policy?
Well, it's being looked at, and it was interesting. I talked to some experts who had studied it, and they were surprised that it continues to be a problem. So I think this research is pulling up. This investigation is pulling up a problem that continues to be. It's looked at in places, and in Milwaukee, it ended here voluntarily, so there's no law, but it ended here. And other places have looked to end it. There is no federal oversight of this issue, though. There's no a place in the federal government where this is watched or tracked. So that oversight is yet to come.
Well, I think, you know, the case that you highlighted is probably as egregious as it gets.
Yeah.
And hopefully in her passing, this will shine a light on this issue and something will occur for the better.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It's an important issue.
Yeah.
Thanks, John, for reporting that. We appreciate it. Thanks for sharing it with us.
A woman had a stroke next to one of Wisconsin's best hospitals, but her ambulance was turned away and she died. You know I'm going to say that again. A woman had a stroke next to one of Wisconsin's best hospitals, but her ambulance was turned away and she died. This story was done in USA Today, January 17, 2019, and this is how it reads. Emergency departments nationwide have been quietly deploying a controversial tactic of turning ambulances away. Milwaukee. As she got ready to work the breakfast shift at Medical College of Wisconsin cafeteria, Tiffany Tate didn't feel well. Tate was a fixture on the cafeteria's hotline, where she worked behind a steaming grill. She knew the names of many workers and their kids, always sharing smiles and small talk. With a teenager and 8-month-old at home, recent months had been an exhausting bliss for Tate. That morning, she told some of the other kitchen workers she had a headache and felt weak. She figured it was because of a new medication for her back pain. Group of workers came off a break. She felt worse. Tate asked for a piece of bread with honey. Co-worker hustled to get it. She returned to find Tate leaning against a corner or a counter. Supporting herself with one hand, the left side of Tate's face drooped. She was slurring her words. A customer walked up. Both could see what was happening and said the same thing almost in unison. She's having a stroke. At its most basic level, a stroke is an attack on the brain. Typically, it is the result of a clot becoming lodged in an artery, choking off vital blood flow. Every minute blood flows is interrupted, it can cause irreversible damage to millions of brain cells. A stroke can rob a victim's ability to speak or to see and cause brain damage and paralysis. More than 140,000 people die each year in the United States from strokes, making it the 5th leading cause of death. It is a leading cause of serious long-term disability. The latest research says sending patients directly to top-level stroke centers, hospitals that can administer clot-busting drugs or go in through arteries to physically remove clots, offer the best chance at survival. The ideal window for care is within the first 3 hours. On that morning 4 years ago, Tate was having a stroke on the grounds of the Milwaukee Regional Medical Center and 350 yards from Fort Dirt Hospital, the area's most advanced experienced stroke care center. It would be a quick ambulance ride if only the ambulance had taken her there. It didn't. Little known practice of diversion. Every day, thousands of ambulances zigzag through city streets along congested highways and rural roads across the nation. It's easy to imagine they're headed to the nearest hospital or to the emergency room best suited to care for the sick or injured person on board. Turns out, that's not always so. Emergencies departments and hospitals nationwide have been quietly deploying a controversial tactic, turning would-be patients away. Officially, it's called ambulance diversion. Hospital officials decide they are too busy and essentially hang a temporary closed sign on the emergency room door, telling ambulance to go elsewhere. Some cases, the crowding is due to a surge of patients, and others, the problem is a poor system for moving patients through the hospital, creating bottlenecks everywhere that hampers the ER. In other words, hospitals sometimes create their own problems. The ambulance carrying Tiffany Tate was sent to a hospital 3 miles away that offered only limited stroke care. Law doesn't apply. Federal law requires hospitals to treat patients who arrive in their emergency rooms and make sure they are stable before releasing or transferring them. That applies to everyone who walks in the door of any of the nation's 5,500 hospitals. But if you're in an ambulance that ordered not to come, that law is irrelevant. Maria Raven, an emergency room doctor and professor at the University of California at San Francisco, who has studied hospital diversion, said Tate should have been taken to Fort Dirt because it was the top stroke center in the area. To my mind, they should have been a comprehensive stroke center if they can't close or can close. Raven said, either you can be one or can't be. People can't control when they have their strokes. Milwaukee County officials ended diversion in 2016, yet the practice continues elsewhere in Wisconsin and across the nation. A Milwaukee Journal Sentinel review of the 25 largest cities found 16 of them, including 9 of the 10 largest, allow ambulance diversion of some kind, though rules govern when patients can be diverted vary widely. They include cities such as New York, Phoenix, Chicago, Los Angeles, and Knoxville, Tennessee. No uniform set of rules govern how or when ambulance diversion is used by America's hospitals. No single agency tracks the patients or measures how frequently hospital doors are closed. No one tracks what happens to the patients who have their treatments delayed. In some places where diversion is allowed, officials require hospitals to accept stroke patients even during periods of diversion. All the while, study after study has concluded that ambulance diversion poses serious dangers for patients and doesn't actually solve overcrowding. Long-standing practice. The practice emerged in the 1980s at a time when many hospitals began to find themselves so jammed that patients might lie on beds in emergency room hallways after initial treatment for hours, even days before they could be discharged or admitted. The problem was compounded by another common occurrence that had nothing to do with emergency rooms, which continues today at some hospitals. Surgeons schedule operations and procedures earlier in the week, allowing for weekday healing time and discharge before the weekend, when many hospitals have skeleton crews. That meant intensive care units were often crowded early and midweek. Patients treated in emergency rooms who needed to be admitted to the ICU would have no place to go. And sometimes ERs were forced to deal with an influx of psychiatric patients, the results of a federal court order shift from institutional care to community placement. In the years that followed, emergency rooms became the first stop for many kinds of care, often minor ailments, fever, dizziness, sprained ankles. Over the past 15 years, emergency room visits have jumped 20%. To 137 million last year alone from 114 million in 2003. The crowding problem can be especially acute in urban areas where many hospitals nationwide have closed, putting extra pressure on the ones that remain. A 2001 report from the United States House Committee on Government Reform found diversion were so widespread they represented a treated to emergency medical readiness, including in the event of a terrorist attack. A 2017 study found that African American patients had an increased chance of dying from a heart attack and strokes as hospitals in largely minority neighborhoods were going on diversion more often than others. Diversions have been aggressively abused, said Corey Slovis, chair of emergency medicine at Vanderbilt University and the medical director for the Nashville Fire Department. Hospitals might turn away ambulances if equipment breaks down or if there is an unexpected problem such as flooding or electricity being out. Still, the vast majority of diversions, experts say, are because of overcrowding. Defenders describe diversion policies as a necessary evil, intended to protect patients from long, dangerous waits at a crowded hospital. The key, they acknowledge, is to get the ambulance patient to another, less crowded hospital that has the same capabilities. The problem, when one hospital closes its door, it simply spills more water and sends extra ambulances onto the next hospital, which may have to close its door. Indeed, sometimes hospitals close simply in anticipation of getting more patients. You really don't want to be brought to a hospital that doesn't think that they can do the job properly, said Lewis Nelson, a doctor and a chair of the emergency medicine at Rutgers Medical School in New Jersey. A tragic sequence of events. It is less than 4 football fields from the cafeteria where Tate suffered her stroke to the emergency room at Fortert. A skywalk connects them. Had Tate been wheeled into the emergency room, doctors would have been required under federal law to care for her. Even while ambulances were being turned away, instead she was taken to Aurora, West Ellis Medical Center, about 3 miles away. The paramedic commanders on the call with Tate said he probably drove right past the entrance afforded the emergency room close enough to spit on the doorway or the driveway. Aurora West Ellis could not handle the case. They decided to transfer Tate to Aurora St. Luke's Medical Center. She arrived about 3.5 hours after she first started showing signs of a stroke. Using a catheter, doctors tried to reach the clot lodged in Tate's neck through an artery in her leg. Medical records show the procedure didn't work. By now, Tate family had gathered. The biggest question, why wasn't she cared for at Fortert? It didn't make any sense to me, her brother David Tate said in an interview. Damn, she was at Fortert. She worked there. She was right there. Several health experts had the same question. To me, if someone is on the ground of your hospital, they are yours, said Raven, the San Francisco ER doctor. It is really sad. There were so many failures. Michael Carome, a former top official in the United States Department of Health and Human Services and now medical director of Public Citizen Public Policy Group, said the delay in getting Tate to a top-level stroke center diminished her chances of survival. I would think there is a very high probability that the delay reasonably contributed to her adverse outcome, given what we know about the golden window to quickly treat a stroke, Carm said. The experts said it is impossible to know whether Tate would have survived if she had gone straight to Fortert, but they were unified in this: she would have had a better chance. Diversion still a problem. Diversion is still a problem around the country, including Los Angeles County, where hospitals can and do divert ambulances regularly. Kathy Chilchester, director of Los Angeles County Emergency Medical Service Agency, said surrounding counties have banned diversions but not have yet changed their operations. That has resulted in chaos, she said, with patients having long waits or swamping Los Angeles County Hospital. Chilster said hospitals and officials have discussed making improvements, but nothing concrete has happened. It might be different if there were a case similar to what happened with Tiffany Tate in Milwaukee County, she said. Efficiency is talked about all the time here, Chester said, but without something horrifying happening like what you had up there, it's just revert to the way it was. All right, so we're back. I know it was a little lengthy on that, but it was a lot of information in there to be discerned and a lot of information for you to have. Because again, as black people in this nation, and again, I guess it could be any people, but particularly to black people, right? Again, remember the song by Public Enemy, 911 is a joke. Those who remember that song, 911 is a joke. So when you're in an emergency situation like that, here was somebody. Again, I'm not gonna say somebody. I'm gonna give her due justice because she's an ancestor now. TIFFANY TATE, right? Who was 37 years old, who worked, right? She worked for them, right? In the cafeteria. Wasn't feeling that good that day. Caught a headache, right? Tried to upstand it, got a little worse as they went on break. Asked for, old remedy. You know how they do the old home remedies, right? Those from here that's cut from that cloth, right? We have a lot of old remedies that today a lot of people probably don't know unless you pass down and you kept a lot. But he had a lot of little home remedies. So give me some bread, some honey, right? That might help me out, right? When he come back, she wasn't doing well, propping herself up on the wall. So they recognized that, had a droop in her face, and so they said, oh, she having a stroke. So they called the ambulance. Now, the ambulance that comes to get her, the hospital that is the best in the country in stroke, is down the street from her. Well, they said about 4 football fields. So about 400 yards away, right? And they say that she had a stroke. They said, well, your care has to come within the 3 hours. Now, keep that in mind. 3 hours. So instead of them taking her to the nearest one, again, they said it was about 4 football fields away, they had to divert her and go somewhere that took them even further away, which was in Aurora. And when she got there, that particular hospital did not have the necessary credentials to deal with what she was having. So they had to now retransport her once again. So they didn't really mention that, right? Only in the article it mentioned it, but not when you seen the video. So here's a woman who had a stroke. Should have went to where, again, this is what they forte. This is what they great at. But they passed off because, again, they have a term called diversion. So that means that a hospital, when they're picked up by ambulance, can have a, like sometimes, well, I don't know if they do that today. I haven't seen that. Well, stores used to be back in the days, they're going to take a break. Maybe he got to go to the washroom, or maybe he going to get him something to eat other than where he's at. And they have a little sign on it that said, be back in about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, whatever it might be, right? Be back. Or closed, right? Well, in this case, the hospital can put that on there, and a diversion can last for a whole day, preventing people from coming. Now, again, federally, they say if you come in, whether you walk in, drive in, they have to take you. But if you're in an ambulance, they can divert you to another hospital. Now, that could be crucial, life and death, right? As it was for TIFFANY TATE, right? And so we see that in communities that we come from, that is a routine in a lot of those hospitals. It stated that. That matter of fact, that actually in 2016, diversion was actually taken off. Because again, it used to be the only hospital was Massachusetts in 2009, was the original only one in the country that had taken that diversion off. Everybody else said in 2016 that they weren't doing it, but there was still discretionary measures that the hospital did because, again, I'm pretty sure there was, dispatch and so forth. There was communication between the ambulance and the dispatcher of the hospital that would divert. And primarily, we have to ask ourselves this. There's a question we got to ask ourselves. Because they called it a necessary evil, right? You did hear that. So a necessary evil is something that is undesirable, but must be accepted. I'm going to say that again. A necessary evil is something that is undesirable, but must be accepted, right? So, let's look at that. So here's a woman who actually worked for the same place that the hospital is associated and affiliated with it, was under the situation of care that they could have provided for her, but they decided to divert her. Now, again, we're looking at this as undesirable because that is, but again, that's just part of the game, how they playing it. So I have to ask the question, can diversion be an actual racist move? Because again, if you heard in the article that I read, that it talked about the places like Chicago, New York, right? It was all in what we used to call the chocolate cities, right? So, you know, when there's high crime areas and you need to get some emergency assistance and you coming through an ambulance and you could be closer with something that could save your life, they divert that. And again, you would not even know who the call was made because, again, you the patient. Family stuff won't be notified to the fact, but it's only the ambulance driver that knows what's really what really went down, how you got here and how you got there. So here's this sister, Tiffany Tate, that had to lose her life to bring some out. Because again, I don't know whether you knew this or not, but again, we have to think about that, right? That's the kind of shit that, you know, unbeknownst to us, that they ain't really gonna tell us nothing like that, right? So this woman didn't have to die. Now again, you can't say for fact that because even though she was closer there that she would have had survived, or it could have prevented, or it wouldn't have been as detrimental, but we would have never known that. You will never know that. But the fact is, that is part of the game. And there is no federal policies on that. There's no one who follows up on it, whether that, if doing that, and then the outcomes, what are the statistics? Because again, is it racial in application? Unbeknownst is the question you got to look and ask yourself, right? So again, a little information that I found out there that I want to bring again. Diversion. By the time when we hear that term diversion, it's normally under settings of when you go into court. Those who can get that, again, under jurisdictions where they give diversion so that you don't get that due to time and it don't go on your record. You end up doing some, you know, community service or some things like that, or paying retribution, whatever it might be. But diversion as into a hospital emergency tactic, we didn't know that, at least. Most of us didn't know that, right? But now you know, right? So if somebody else to be in a situation, know that. Hey, man, if you know the hospital probably, if you should be with them and they ain't going there, all right, you know now. All right, so give a little bit to that Tiffany Haddish, and not Tiffany Haddish, what I'm talking about Haddish for? Tiffany Tate. Right, and her family, right? Again, that came out today, some information on that. So now let's get into some other stuff here, right? So we got, you know, I kind of touched this, right? I had touched it, right? And let me see if it's going to play out right. Hold on, let me see. Let me see if I can get the play. Hold on. There we go. I think that's it. Hold on. All right, here we go. So let me first make sure everything good out here. Let me see who all out in the house, if I should have anybody in the house. I got a couple people in the house. That's all good. Glad to see a couple people in the house here. See who I got up in here. I got Yah Kabir Kabe, One Love King, Shot Town. What's good? What's good? As always. This one here. Well, you know, I did this story the other day, right? And this story had to do with, again, about the little viral video that went out again about the stance. Remember that I had MAGA versus the Native American stance, right? And as, you know, again, as more of that story came out, there was more to that story, right? There was a lot more to that story, right? And the one fact we got to look at is, well, what was the whole, okay, they talked about the stance They talk about the Native Americans being there. They talk about the Hebrew Israelites being there. But why were they all kind of in that place in the first place, right? No, did anybody read to find out anything? Because I did, right? And so I'm gonna present it again. You know, if you don't do it, you know, if you come over here, I'm gonna get you, right? So let me show you this, right? Let me show you this first, and that's gonna give you why the Native Americans was there, right? Matter of fact, I'm gonna give you. Let's see, how many I'm gonna give you on this? I'm gonna give you. Well, what you do? Okay, I'm gonna give you some the background to them. I'm gonna give you this, and I'm gonna give you some of the background to it. All right, so check this out, and let's get it. And the way they making me do this is crazy, though.
Our children, our grandchildren, they'll have clean water to drink.
We are marching for all our missing and murdered Indigenous relatives. My aunt was murdered in 1996 in front of me. This epidemic has touched our people for 500 years. This is personal. We want justice. We want proper investigations. We want mainstream media to see us and hear us, to cover our stories like they would every story.
I had this jacket, and the other day I was just thinking, oh, maybe I should bring that jacket and get some white paint, because I remember another jacket, and I wanted to say that we do care. We will always care.
And we're getting ready to start this Indigenous Peoples March.
We live in our land and we live among our people, and for that we're not able to be successful or have a high quality of life, and that's impacted by the shutdown because a lot of the services that are the trust responsibility from this nation are not being fulfilled on reservations right now.
The Thorn of Nations shares 75 miles of the international border with Mexico. We were there before the border. We've lived in that region since time immemorial. So in the O'odham language, there's no word for wall. The idea of a wall is a colonial concept. It's not indigenous to this land. It's not indigenous to our people, to the O'odham people. To build a wall like Donald Trump has proposed is offensive on many levels, offensive to the O'odham. It's harmful to our communities. It cuts off relations with one another, with our relationships to one another as human beings, our relationships to the environment, our relationships to the animals.
We are people first, not redskins. We are not scalps, we are not chiefs, we're not squaws, caricatures, cartoons, mascots, Pocahontas, stereotype Pocahontas, Indian princesses, Halloween costumes, nor are we Indians, red men, red devils, savages, drunks, casino Indians. We are people, the original inhabitants of this land.
Change the name! Change the name! Change the logo! Change the logo! Change the name! Change the name! Change the logo! Change the logo! Thank you.
Now, again, this is what it says, again, that it's hard to find as it comes to what is the indigenous people movement, right? So I searched and I looked and I went to the smovement.com, and then I got this as to give you some background as to what the movement was about. It says, on January 18, 2019, we are uniting the indigenous people across the world to stand together to bring awareness to the injustices affecting indigenous men, women, children, and two-spirits. Indigenous people from North, Central, and South America, Oceania, Asia, Africa, and the Caribbean are a target of genocide. Currently, many indigenous people are victims of voter suppression, divided families by walls and borders, and environmental holocaust, sex and human trafficking, police, military brutality with little or no resources and awareness of this injustice. We must unite and help. So again, that's what that was, right? Now, when you look up on Wikipedia about the Indigenous People March that just happened, right? Listen to what it says here. It says, the first Indigenous People March was a political demonstration on the National Mall in Washington, D.C., January 18, 2019. The event included speeches, prayers, songs, and dance, and was intended to draw attention to global injustice against indigenous peoples. After 8 p.m. or 8, prayers outside the building of the Interior Affairs, the marches proceeded along Constitution Avenue and ended at Henry Bacon Park, north of the Lincoln Memorial. Organizers expected a crowd of about 10,000 people. At the end of the formal program, an incident occurred between a group of about 60 students who had been attending the March for Life rally at Nathan Phillips and others involved in the Indigenous People March. Videos of the students surrounding Phillips were shared widely on social media, according to Phillips. He had walked into the crowd of boys in an attempt to defuse a conflict between them and a group of black Hebrew Israelites. The boys were widely condemned for mocking and harassing Phillips, including by several lawmakers and by their school. And some people affiliated with the march described the boys as threatening due to their numbers actions, and Make America Great Again attire. Students seen in the video standing closely facing Phillips released a statement to refute the negative characterization of the incident. In the wake of the publication of a longer video of the incident, some have expressed doubt about the initial negative interpretation of the students' actions. Others have maintained that the boys were harassing a group of Native Americans. All right, so maybe they got me slowed up. They got me off. Looks like I'm froze up here. Hold on, y'all. Seem to be having everything froze up. Ain't that something? So let me check and see if I'm on, because it got me froze up over here. So I have to check and see. Ain't that something? Ain't that something, huh? Truth is something else, ain't it? So I'm froze up. As you can see, your screen is probably not moving, right? Due to the simple fact of what we're talking about over here. See, again, they try to divert that whole conversation by what took place, right? Right, so it looks like, let me see if I'm still on. Hold on, let's see. Am I still on? Okay, so it still froze. Okay, so it still froze. All right, so now, all right, so let me do this then. All right, so let me get it back on. All right, so we got it back on. I got it back on now. So I had to do a lot of things. All right, so what we have here is that's the situation that happened with the situation, again, that's going to lead up to the next part, which is about the whole conversation that was, or the viral video that took place about the MAGA versus the Native American. And nobody really explained why they were there. That one kind of got blurred, right? No one actually specified what was their position. They talked about the school and it being a Catholic school, and they talked about the Hebrew Israelite, but they never mentioned what the whole meeting was. And so that's giving you the backdrop to that they were having that as a nationwide, global-wide, indigenous. Think about everybody who they spoke on. Who was missing out of that? It said Asia, it said Africa, it said the Caribbean, it said America, Oceania. The one person who was missing in that conversation was Europe, right? That was not mentioned in that conversation due to the simple fact of what had been stated about those who feel like the injustices, right? Globally and genocide and so forth. So they were trying to come together on that, but that got blurred in that whole debacle that took place. That got skewered. That wasn't even mentioned unless you do what I do, which is you're going to read. You know, most of our people are not reading. So again, what I'll do is I will read for you, right? So now, giving you the background to that, again, I gave you to what it says that the first annual of that was, right? Because nobody mentioned it. So now let's lead to this other part here, right? So I got to lead you to this. So I'm gonna give you back to back on this. Let's see. Now again, so much backlash came out on the students about what took place, right? A lot of backlash came back. A lot of people didn't like it because, again, the way that they said it was edited. They said it was edited to look the way that it made the white kids, the Caucasian kids, look like they were the aggressors. So now they came back after that, and this is what they put in here. So I'm going to show you this. And then let's move from there. Let's see if I can get it right here, because again, you know how they do me over here.
And that went viral. You probably saw it. Teens in Make America Great Again hats face to face with that native.
There we go. So you got to freeze me up. Make it hard for me to get it off. I don't understand it. It just don't make sense. But we're gonna get it off. Don't worry about it, y'all. It's gonna happen. All right, we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it right. All right. So let me go ahead and play that. Oh, okay, you're getting back to that. Good, that's even better. All right, so let's get it.
Viral, you probably saw it. Teens in Make America Great Again hats face to face with that Native American protester. The scene quickly sparked outrage online, but now another video is raising new questions about what really happened before the incident. And the teen at the center of it all is now speaking out. ABC's Ariel Reshef has the latest.
Overnight, one of the teens at the center of this now viral encounter defending himself, saying these initial images don't tell the whole story. A clip of Nick Sandman appearing to stare down Nathan Phillips, a 65-year-old Native American and Vietnam veteran, surrounded by a crowd of teens, many wearing Make America Great Again hats, sparking an internet firestorm. Sandman now saying he and his family are receiving death threats, claiming in a statement, "I was not intentionally making faces at the protester. I did smile at one point because I wanted him to know that I was not going to become angry, intimidated, or provoked into a larger confrontation." Phillips claims the teens were chanting, "Build that wall." So far, no footage has surfaced backing up that claim. But this morning, new videos shedding light on the moments before and after the distressing incident. A separate group of protesters can be heard hurling slurs at the young Kentucky students who had gathered at the March for Life. When Phillips, seen beating his drum, approached the crowd. Phillips later telling the Detroit Free Press he was trying to calm the situation. If their own instructors, their own teachers, their own chaperones would have handled the situation right from the beginning, it would never have happened.
And we know that the crowd dispersed peacefully in the end. In his statement, Sandman said he meant Phillips no harm and thanked him for his service. After the first video surfaced, guys, the school quickly condemned the conduct of these boys, promising an investigation, even disciplinary action against them, up to expulsion if necessary.
This is such a cautionary tale. I have to say, I saw that first image on Saturday morning, and it seemed absolutely outrageous.
Clear.
But it shows what you can do with editing footage, just single images.
Right.
This was a much, much more complicated story, and it appears at least that this young man was trying to do the right thing in some measure. Maybe he didn't do it perfectly, but trying.
Yeah, there was definitely a rush to judgment by a lot of people, and I think it's a teachable moment in our country, and about the fact that this country is so polarized.
It was a very lengthy video.
Yes,
Didn't you say
hour and 45 minutes I watched.
So it's hard just to take a snippet from it.
It goes viral that quickly.
It does.
Yeah.
Okay, Ariel, thanks very much. Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.
The Kentucky teen caught on video facing off with a Native American elder at a march Friday now claims he was trying to defuse a situation. He says a look at all of the video tells a different story. CNN's Sarah Steiner joins us now live with more. Sarah, you've been on this story basically from the beginning.
Not quite the beginning, but certainly very early on. And we did take a look at an hour-and-a-half long video that shows the lead up to this face-to-face confrontation between an elder from the Omaha tribe and these Catholic students, including one that sort of stood there, and neither of them moved. And what we found is that it was some adults hurling nasty comments at these kids beforehand that ended up creating this tension. The Catholic high school student who comes face-to-face with a Native American elder in a viral video is now responding. In a statement, student Nick Sandman says the viral video does not reflect the true nature of events when the students arrived at the Lincoln Memorial. When we arrived, we noticed 4 African American protesters who were also on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, he said. The protesters said hateful things. Indeed, a small group of black men who identify as Hebrew Israelites did say hateful things to seemingly everyone around them, including a priest.
Let's make America great again. A bunch of child molesting
and the students.
See how you got these pompous bastards come down here in the middle of a native rally with their dirty ass hat on?
When a black visitor tries to stand up against their rhetoric, he faces hate too.
You got all these dirty ass crackers behind you with a red Make America Great hat again on, and your coon ass, you want to fight your brother.
At first, the Catholic students there for the March for Life are still in small numbers, but more and more show up, watching but not engaging. The small group of men continue taunting them.
A bunch of incest babies. A bunch of babies made out of incest.
Sandman says the rhetoric was startling. Because we were being loudly attacked and taunted in public, a student asked one of our teacher chaperones for permission to begin school spirit chants to counter the hateful things that were being shouted at our group. And they do. At one point, a student removes his shirt and the chants drown everything out. 2 minutes later, you hear a drum beat. That is Nathan Phillips, an Omaha tribe elder, and another drummer. Phillips says it was their attempt to thwart potential violence. The kids danced to it. They began chanting along.
I realized I had put myself in a really dangerous situation, you know. It was like, here's a group of people who were angry at somebody else, and I put myself in front of that.
Phillips, a Vietnam veteran, walks around. Other students avoid him until you see him come face to face with the student who has now gone viral. In his statement, the student says he was the one trying to de-escalate the situation, not Phillips. I believe that by remaining motionless and calm, I was helping to defuse the situation. I realized everyone had cameras and that perhaps a group of adults was trying to provoke a group of teenagers into a larger conflict. Sandman has every opportunity to move back. So does Phillips. Neither do. While they faced off, the kids face more taunting from the Hebrew Israelite group.
This is a bunch of future school shooters.
That's right.
While Phillips maintains he felt the kids were mocking him and being rude, Sandman says it was the adults using hateful words and trying to provoke the kids, not the other way around. Now, Phillips says he still felt as if he were being mocked. There was a point at which the kids used a tomahawk chop, which was considered a mocking gesture during that time. But we should also mention this. The diocese that oversees the Covington Catholic High School in Kentucky did condemn the students' behavior towards Native Americans, saying that they would be investigating. We are still waiting to see what they say now that this other video has surfaced and that they could go through it and see it. The mayor of the city also condemned the kids' behavior vis-a-vis the Native Americans from that first viral video. But I do want to mention this, that the congressman from their district, Thomas Thomas Macy, he basically came out in support of these kids. He talked about the fact that in the face of racist comments, homosexual slurs, that the young boys refuse to reciprocate or disrespect anyone, even when taunted by homophobic bigots, which was obviously bewildering to them. They insulted no one, and he lastly says, I am proud, it is an honor to represent them. And so, you have a congressman standing up for these kids. You have folks from the indigenous community still saying, look, we feel like they were being disrespectful and mocking, and they believe that they too were trying to calm the situation between the kids and those group of 4 black men who were yelling racist threats at them.
What a weekend. Sarah Sinder, thanks for laying out the facts for us and the video so people can see for themselves. Appreciate it.
All right, so now you're getting that aspect of the story, right? So let's go over that a little bit, right? So again, you have the individual there that was doing the stand down of Nathan Phillip. Nathan Phillip would be the Native American, right? Now the white boy or the white man or the white boy that was there, his name was, I think, was Sandman, right? I think it was something to Sandman, right? So yeah, it was something Rick Sandman, right? Or Nick Sandman, right? And so based on that, what they showed in that video was Nick Sandman in, a stare down with Nathan Phillip, right? But did you see the newscaster Sarah Sittner, who sat there and somehow she diverted that into it being about the black adult, black Israelites, right? You see how they flipping this. Now let's see, let me show you how they flipping this. I'm showing you how they doing it. All right, so, they said that there was chance about build that wall, but they have no footage to prove that, is what they say, right? And make sure I'm on, right? Okay. So they said there was no footage to prove that, right? And they said that it was, now they made this guy, Nick Sandman, to be he was the mediator to actually quell the situation. The man that's sitting in front of Nathan Phillips is the one that actually supposed to be quelling the situation. Now keep all this in mind. Keep all this, I'm telling you, in mind. Now I said again, Nick Sandman is trying to defuse the situation, right? But they telling you they was antagonized by the Hebrew Israelites. The 4 black men, they say 4 black men, they didn't really want to get into the aspect of the Hebrew Israelites, and we know why that is, right? So they said that the Hebrew Israelites were saying hateful things. They took a snippet and they played it, and you heard some things, right? You heard some things. It wasn't like it wasn't said. I'm not saying they didn't say that, right? And you hear that based on this situation, Nick Sandman said he's getting death threats. Now I don't know who would be giving him death threats unless it's the Native Americans. Other than that, I don't know who would be giving you death threats. But again, I understand they're painting the picture as the kids were innocent, right? And that they were antagonized by the angry black men, which is who? The Hebrew Israelites, right? And so they kept stating the fact that they said, well, it was the black men who were antagonizing the kids, right? It was the kids who was doing this. Mr. Blows Your Mind. I went and got it, right? I'm going to give you the side they wasn't going to give you. Because you got to remember, where's Nick Sandman at? He's in front of Nathan, right? The Native American. So if the problem is with the Hebrew Israelites, then why aren't we seeing the Hebrew Israelites right there? All because they wasn't going to show you that. But guess what? You know over here, you going to see it. All right, you ready for this? Check this out. Hold on. Before I even do that, let me go ahead and remind some people who might be sitting up in here. Let me remind you, just in case you're sitting up in here and you got to let me hold something. There's a couple of people, already 2 people that gave me something. I appreciate that. Give me a like, dislike, whatever you want to do. You can give me either one, right? But you got to let me hold something, right? It wouldn't be right for you not to let me hold something. So let me go ahead and let me get this out the way first. Wait, hold on. Let me not do that first. Hold on. Let's do this. Hold on. Let's do this first. I'm going to do this. Hold on. Let's do this right. No. Don't do that. Don't do that. Let's do this right. Let's do this right. Let me give you this first. Let me give you these 2. Right? Let me give you these 2. And all right, so let me play these, and then we should be all right. Let me see if this is good. That's good. All right. So let's get it. Let me play this. And those who sitting on your hands, you know what you're supposed to be doing. Sitting there like you don't know no better. All right, so we're going to go ahead and play that right quick, and let's get it. Come on, let's get it. Get to the videos. Let's get it. But you hold, let me hit some of that. White people assume niceness is the answer to racial inequality. Genetic studies provide novel insight into the evolution of skin. A woman had a stroke next to one of Wisconsin's best hospitals. All right, hold on for a second, y'all. Something done went wrong in my video, so give me 1 second. Something got mixed up on here. Give me 1 quick second. I will play with the right one, so give me 1 second.
Bring it out,
You want us to love you. The Lord said he had a perpetual hatred. Who's he speaking about? You so-called white people. I got no more spit in my mouth. This is stand your stay down. Ezekiel chapter 35 verse 5.
Bring it out,
Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and I shed the blood of the children of Israel. Right, you shed the blood of the children of Israel. Cops are still getting away with murder. The government is still getting away with murder. You shoot us down like dogs in the street. You take away our children from the orders of Mexico. But God want us to love you. God want us to love you. I see you. You want to work hard. A bunch of insult.
That's right.
A bunch of This is what America looks like. Where was it great? Where was it great? I tell you, right? Exactly. Since it started, since you had us in slavery.
That's right.
The only time that it was great. Look where we at. Where? Look where we at. Look at my people. Look at my people. The best nation that's gonna stop.
The best nation to shut down,
And eventually, that's gonna stop. Is this the best nation? Why y'all there? Why y'all there? If y'all are there, get rid of that damn life on your back. Get rid of life. Get rid of life.
There can't be stop.
Like a bunch of trolls.
That's right.
You don't see the angels around us. You don't see the angels around us. You couldn't touch us if you wanted to. You can't touch us if you wanted to. You don't see the angels around us. You worship blasphemy. We got angels that are black for us. You don't see it though. Look at this fool here.
This guy think he's stoked.
Look at this here. You serious? This is the devil.
It's the devil, Yo, get Joe,
This is the damn devil. So that fat cracker to put on the floor.
Put on a brother.
Hey, man. When the prophets laugh at the mockers, this is hilarious.
He got to put on a brother.
This can't be life. This is what America this is what make America great again looks like. This is a bunch of Donald Trump's sons. This is what Donald Trump incest children look like. A bunch of Donald Trump incest children. To Yahweh Ba'Shem Mashiach Yahweh Shah. That's right. They can't stop this word. Right. They can't do nothing to the prophets. Look at this foolie.
This guy think he's stoked.
Get no. Look at his head. You serious? This is the devil.
It's the devil. Yo, get Joe.
This is the damn devil.
So that fat whacker to put on a ball.
Yo, he got to put on a brother. All right, the reason why I stop it is because you see every time it gets to the point with them, they're going to freeze it. So they're trying to make you not see them for what they were doing. So they want to tell you on the general media. See, the white media want to paint the black man as the one that's the antagonizer, right? So every time you see this, going to get to the part that's going to show them, all of a sudden it gets to freezing because they're sitting up in here, right? They're going to DOS attack, right? Right? You know how I am the most hated. I am the most hated show on the black corner of the internet because why? We gonna tell you the truth over here. We don't do what they do, right? So again, I'm gonna play it again. Now watch, every time it gets to that part, you're gonna see them DOS attack so that you don't see them in the light. See, again, just like them scripture talks about how, you know, Satan illuminates himself like the light, fooling everybody, but actually he doing a lot. Well, that's what here is about, right? So don't show them in the light that they come in because, again, they're fragile of mind. So what they're going to do is they're making it say, oh, it was the black man. It was the black man. See, the kids, they was only being antagonized by the black man. But look at what's being presented, right? Look at what's being presented. I'll play it again. I'll play it again. Watch their DOS attack when it gets to their part. That's right.
Around us. You don't see anything around us. You couldn't touch us if you wanted to. You can't touch us if you wanted to. You don't see the eyes around us. You worship blasphemy. We got angels that are blasphemous for us. You don't see it though. Look at this foolie.
This guy think he's stoked.
Get no. Look at his head. You serious? This is the devil.
It's the devil. Yo, get Joe.
This is the damn devil.
So that fat whacker to put on a ball.
Yo, he got to put on a brother.
Hey, man. When the prophets laugh at the mockers, this is hilarious.
He got to put on a brother.
This can't be like this is what America this is what make America great again looks like. This is a bunch of Donald Trump's sons. This is what Donald Trump incest children look like. A bunch of Donald Trump incest children. All praises to Yahweh powered by Shema Mashiach Yahweh Shah.
That's right.
They can't stop this word. They can't do nothing to the prophets. They outnumber us, but they don't see the angels around us. Get them. Get this crap. Yeah. Who say the pull-up boys? Yo. Who say the pull-up boys don't pull up and turn it up? Thus saith the Lord. Thus saith the Lord.
Because you know what? You dirty bastards better be ready. You better be ready.
They say, look at this.
The future justice in the kingdom.
Get out there. Look at these demons. Look at these demons. Look.
See how much they respect you, Israel?
Right. This is how much.
Go ahead, what you say?
He calmed all these spirits right down, huh?
Yeah, serious with it.
Yeah, serious with it. He calmed all these spirits right down. The spiritual right there. He calmed all these spirits down.
That's right.
All these spirits is getting demonic. He calmed all that down, huh? All these spirits is getting demonic. God came through and calmed all these spirits down. That's right. All the spirits got calmed down. Right? Yeah. Right, guys at the front.
Serious mockery. Make America great again.
America will be destroyed by nuclear thermal destruction. Thus saith the Lord. Thus saith the Lord. Your land will never be great. Your land will never be great. Thus saith the Lord. Give me Romans 13 and 11. Give me Romans 13 and 11. The day is at hand, and y'all just don't know it. Y'all can't see it happening. But every nuclear power got a nuclear bomb face towards your ass. Okay? That's right, you bunch of cockroaches. This is what America produces.
That's what America.
This is what America meant by make America great again. This is what Donald Trump produces. This is a bunch of future school shooters.
That's right.
Nothing but a bunch of future school shooters. That's right. That's right. When y'all gonna go shoot up another school? When y'all gonna go shoot up another church? When y'all gonna go shoot up another synagogue? Bunch of school shooters. This is the face of true terrorism.
That's right.
This is what terrorist looks like. Because you shoot up schools, our people don't. Your people is a bunch of school shooters. You damn right. When have you ever seen black, Hispanic, or Native American shoot up a school?
I've never seen anybody shoot up a school. I've never been at a school.
That's right. School shooters. That's your future. What? You about to go postal?
He about to go postal.
Go take a shit. That's do on, baby. But go shoot up a school before you do it. Go shoot up a school before you do it. Think about it. When have you ever seen one of our people shoot up a school? I haven't seen anybody shoot up a school. You never seen nobody shoot up a school? I never witnessed it. Guess what? Never been one. Guess what? All of you got the school shooter haircut.
That's right.
That's right. No, it's true. That boy haircut is in my eyes. You're making a lot of sense. I'm telling you, it's in your eyes. Now about to shoot up the school right now. Pretty sure you guys got it. You have high school education, don't you? Oh, you proud because your mother paid for college?
Yeah, he's fine about that. He's fine about that.
Your college degrees was paid for the bloodshed of slavery.
That's right.
Your houses, your mortgages, everything your parents own was given to you by the bloodshed of our people. That's right.
That's right. That's a good job.
By the bloodshed of the captivity of the North American Indians, of the Southwest Negroes, everything. Let the fighting continue. Let the fighting continue. Right.
Where's out in the water?
I don't see a black person. I don't see
They're
getting the token. Unbelievable. Where's Kanye West?
Let's get Kanye West.
One nigga in the crowd. One nigga in the crowd. Two niggas in the crowd.
Look.
Look at this simple cook. Look at that.
Yeah, simple cook.
When you get old enough, they're going to steal your organs.
That's right.
They're going to steal your organs. Get out. Get out. Get out. Get out. Get out, nigga. Get out, nigga. Get out, nigga. You ain't see the movie? Why you being mean? Get out, nigga. Get out, nigga. That's the only one you got to the Oh, y'all got one hole. You see that?
That was mad racist.
You see that?
That was mad racist.
But we're the racists. This is the face of America. This is the face of America.
No.
Alright, sir. What I told you, it's not rape if you enjoy it. He does not get a cup
He got Trump water.
You got Trump water.
It tastes like incest.
Tastes like incest? Gucci water. They got Gucci water.
I'm talking. I took a few
Let's get this out.
And yet, knowing the time.
The Lord said, now knowing the time. Go ahead.
It is hard time.
It's hard time. Go ahead.
To awake out of sleep.
Not only our people been sleeping, but you got the American dream. America will be great again. You believe America will be great again?
That's our salvation nearer than we believe.
But how is our salvation nearer than what we believe? You think there's no hope for blacks and Hispanics? You think there's no hope for the Native Americans? But guess what? Hope is coming. And Jesus Christ is not a white man.
That's right.
Oh, yes.
It doesn't matter. This guy's got to figure it out.
It does. The truth matters. This is a faggot child molester. This ain't Jesus the Christ. No, he's not perfect. If you read the Bible, you see he's a man of God. Boom! And guess what? Christ is coming back. Yeah! Christ is coming back to kick down that ass.
Guy that says that.
That's where Christ is coming.
You're getting DP from me in multiple.
Christ is
you all need
to
to back up.
You all
need to back up.
Listen to him because you might lose your scholarship. You might lose your scholarship and you might be on the wall. You better get out, brother.
Get out, brother.
You better get out.
Get out, brother.
Get out,
You actually.
All right, so you got to see it with your own eyes. Now, again, I apologize for the shoddiness. It's not because it's shoddy, it's because it don't want to be seen. You understand? See, again, they gave you their spill. Somebody gave the spill from the Nathan Phillips side, which, again, that means there had to be another tape, right? Think about it. If Nathan Phillips is having a stare down with the so-called Nick Sandman, then there was something in the background that was going on that was even not part of that. So, but they're not going to show this part of it, right? Did you see how that crowd swelled up on them brothers, right? Those who know about the Israelites, that's what they do. They're on the corners and they're teaching their doctrine, right? I'm pretty sure they have permits to be where they are, right? So again, according to the movement or the first annual, I think it's of life, right? The March for Life, they were part of that. So they were there based on that, right? So they made it seem like these 4 black men were just out there antagonizing these white kids who were Catholics. So what were they there for? And it was a lot of them. The government is closed, right? So what was their purpose for them being there? Was it to run amok, to not bring any attention as to what that was about? Because again, that really got covered, right? Nobody know what that was all about. But it got about that. And then you seen in the video that I just played for you, the whole incident. You see where Nathan Phillip and them is coming across because they start to crouch and gather up. They was wanting to make they move, right? But then he came and he comes in with his people, and that's what came in the wedge in between. But they made it seem like that the antagonizers were the Hebrew Israelites. Well, yes, they were speaking what they were speaking. Again, their doctrine is coming from the Bible. Right? They're speaking from the Bible and their interpretation of the Bible. But that was not what was said. We seen that the person who was the Sarah Siderman, or whatever her name is, she went directly to, again, to bring the focus off of what they had done, because, again, it said about chaperones. As a matter of fact, that's what Nathan Phillip talked about. He said the chaperones could have quelled that. Where were they? But as you seen in there, you seen that chaperone at the end of this, when he's standing right there. They are infringing. They are actually getting swelled up on the Hebrew Israelites. They were there where they were. They never approached them. The crowd came to them, right? So look how they spent that story to make it about them again, to get the negativity on the black man, when the negativity should have been on, well, why is these kids doing what they doing? You saying that they're saying racial things to them, but you took it out of content, because again, yes, they did say what they said, but not, it wasn't hurled in the way that you made it appear. It had some other content to it, right? When they talked about the young brother in there, they was like, well, they had the one brother out of the sea of white people, which you know they normally call that the token. They bring him out and they tell him, as the movie, get out. nigga, get out, right? So it was more of a condescending to the brother, like, man, look, do you not understand? He said, well, hey, you know, when you get older, they're going to take your body part. They're going to take your organs, right? So, but again, the story got tangled in, because again, it's trying to divert off the image that was displayed. The white boys displayed a rambunctious, barbaric stance. Because again, if you didn't like what, it's like my channel, other than them going out their way to suppress it. If you come across my channel and there's something I'd say that you don't like, then guess what you normally would do? You walk away. You go somewhere else. You unsubscribe. You do whatever you're going to do, right? I ain't messing with that. Why are you constantly moving closer and closer and closer? And you outnumber them again. If it's only 4 of them, what was the number on the other side? So it just seemed unapparent. Again, you was not going to get the black side. But again, if you come here and it's called Black Minds News, I have to give it to you. Right? Because again, they gave 2 versions and then was going to just stigmatize the Hebrew Israelites just on conversation or their dissertation without giving any of this part to the equation. Because again, you would have seen what you just seen. You had one taking off his shirt, riling them all up. They chanting things, right? Getting fired up. And it's only 4. It's only 4 Hebrew Israelites. And if you want to say they were old, that makes it even worse. So that means that they didn't even have respect for that. Now, again, their ideology might be different. Again, they were Catholic and they are Hebrews. So there's going to be a difference in ideology. But the point is, that whole thing that took place with Nathan Phillip, that was between him and that one. That had nothing to do with them over here with the Hebrew Israelites. Am I right or am I wrong? That was a whole different situation. Whatever was happening over there, you didn't even see that. Because again, as you seen them come in with the drums, they go over there. And they in between. But the crowd swells to the fact that it became a sea that you didn't even see them anymore. You didn't even hear the drum. And the numbers kept swelling up on the Hebrew Israelites. Yes, they spoke what they spoke, but they stayed in the position they was the whole time. They never went forward. They never went back. They stood their ground in the position. The crowd came up on them. Now, we going to have to watch this as it goes and unfolds. You know, on this show here, we will show the rest as it develops. But again, that aspect of right there, what you just seen, even though it was not played straightly, but I'm going to play it again. Not today, but I'm going to play it again. It's going to make sure it's straight. And they're not going to play that part because, again, the fragility. They don't want themselves to look in the light. Again, they want to make we always in the negative light. See, when they do things, it's fun and it's just, innocent fun. But if we was in a crowd like that, you call that mob action, right? It could be 3-4 brothers in the car. That's mob action. 3-4 niggas on the corner. Mob action. What do you call that? And matter of fact, if the government shut down, meaning no police, that was nothing. A whole lot could have jumped off. So where was the people who were supposed to be supervising that? That could have got way out of hand. But you know who was going to take the fall for it, right? So again, this is to be continued. Again, I appreciate y'all that you took time. It was a little long. I had to replay because, again, they was doing what they was doing. You know they're going to do it. Those who come over here, you know how they do. So we're going to go on and move forward, right? But I appreciate y'all being over here, right? Matter of fact, let me look at it and see who out here. I got 7 in the house. That's good. You know they're going to freeze it up. So let's see anybody out here got some conversation for it. Brother, let's see. Good fam. Okay, what's up, fam? I see Mr. Spencer 620 in the house. Leonard DeYuta, what's good? You laughing at that, brother? Okay. yeah. You know how they do, man. I wasn't gonna let it play straight because again, see they freezing it up now. I'm looking at the screen now. They're just freezing up. It just don't make no sense. Boy, I got Maserati cable. You get what I'm saying? I got top of the line. That makes no sense.
for myself doing it. So I know this is internal. They sitting up in here watching, doing what they do. But it's all good. Let's move on. Anyway, right? Let me go and get it on. So, all right, that's what that is. So, based on what you just seen there, wait a minute, do I want to go there? Let's see. Yeah, let me go on here again. So since what you seen right there, I seen this come off of the RT, I think it was. And they had this come up, and I said, well, is it better? We have to look at it like that. Is it better? So what time, Mr. Blow? Check this out. Let me see, making sure it's gonna work. You know how they do it over here. Like I said, I got Maserati cable, right? But the way they be doing it, it make you think like it's my equipment or it's my stuff, but it ain't. It's just because I'm the most hated show in the black corner of the internet. Take it or leave it alone. You can take it or leave it alone. Take it or leave it alone. Let's see if we can get it to work. Let's get it. 1, 2, 3. Put some sound on over here. I got to do a whole lot. I just don't know. Hit that like button, dislike button for me. You know what I'm saying? I work a lot hard over here. No other show don't have to do what I do to get a show off. Appreciate what I do. Let's get it.
It's an understatement to say the first 2 years of Donald Trump's presidency have been different.
We have pizzas, we have 300 hamburgers, many French fries.
So help me God.
With a promise to bring Washington to its knees and drain the swamp, Trump's worked to fulfill his most popular phrase.
We will make America great again.
In many ways, Trump has changed the country, sometimes by default.
There's so much dysfunction, there's so much uncertainty, there's so much chaos right now that we simply don't know which way is up.
He refuses to act like previous presidents, often using Twitter to announce big news or
get that son of a off the field
to insult his opponents.
They call her Pocahontas.
He often shuns advice from his top aides, which has led to a stunning number of departures, including his Secretary of State, his Defense Secretary, 2 Chiefs of Staff, and 2 National Security Advisors. Unemployment is at its lowest rate in 50 years, but economists warn that may not last in 2019. Trump's also appointed 2 conservative judges.
No border wall!
But it is his biggest campaign promise that has proved to be his toughest challenge.
We are building a wall.
Trump has made it clear he wants a wall along the southern border of the United States with Mexico to stop illegal migrants from crossing. His stubborn insistence has led to a stalemate with his Democratic opponents, who've reminded him he also promised Mexico would pay for the wall. In December, the U.S. government shut down over his request for $5.7 billion for a new wall. It's now the longest partial government shutdown in history.
No collusion, no nothing.
There is no collusion.
There was no collusion whatsoever.
Although his first 2 years have been overshadowed by a Department of Justice investigation into whether his campaign worked with the Kremlin, Trump has proved over and over again he can weather the hefty legal and political fights that come with it. But as 2019 gets closer to 2020, a presidential election year, Trump faces new challenges from Democrats who want him out.
This is our moment in history.
Some analysts say he may survive that too.
You have a progressive base that is simply, I think, more interested in fighting than they are in unifying a party.
But perhaps one of the biggest promises Donald Trump has kept is that he governs like no president before him. Kimberly Helkett, Al Jazeera, the White House.
All right. So that was Al Jazeera showing in the 2 years that President Trump has been in, going over a little scenario of what done happened and transpired. But again, I guess everybody is kind of seeing and feeling what's been taking place again, as we just watched prior before, as the Hebrew Israelites were saying that again, they want to make the stigmatization that, because they're wearing a mega hat. It wasn't just a hat. It's actually the attitude that goes along with it, too, right? It's not just a hat, right? A hat don't necessarily, a hat is just material. It's the individual who wearing the hat is where the issue is, right? So, again, is there anything wrong with somebody saying something making it great again? No, but again, if you think of it from the historical aspect of it, great for who? You know what I'm saying? You still haven't, you know, clean slate, what you done already caused. So in order for it to be great, you're going to always be like, I guess, what's that, the bell, Liberty Bell had a crack in it, right? No, you can't have Liberty, but it got a crack in it. So it can't be perfect, right? So until you clean up some things, I don't know how you're going to make that great unless you're talking about something that, you know, again, the subliminal aspect, the connotative language. And again, I guess most of us are picking up, because again, that's a lot of dog whistle, right? Whistling like a dog, and, you know, but we hearing you, right? So, you know, again, you know, people want to blame it on the individual, one individual that making everybody the way they is. And it's, no, this is just kind of who you are. We seen it. I mean, just in that last video, here was people that supposed to have been religious, right? Think about it. They were probably children or kids or young adults, or however you want to put it, supposed to have been religious. But it was a lot of stuff that had been said, because again, the Hebrew Israelites were talking about that everything that you garnered, that you have gotten from your education, the money that your parents got came from off the back of my ancestors. And they was like, we agree. That's right. Right? They weren't shame about that. Right? They sticking their flag in the moon. It was all good. So, okay. So I don't know how you feel like that, you know, when people like myself and others that are in the black corner are displaying and showing this, that you have a problem with that. Again, look in the mirror. Don't you see? You can't see a reflection at all, huh? So it would be better off again to just put it off on the other people. Well, okay, you keep doing that, right? You go ahead and keep doing that. It don't change who you are. You just, it's called deflective tactic, right? You just being deflective. So, what else I got for you? So, since you've seen that, so again, what else is tied with that, right? So we got to look at it like this. Well, you know, the government shut down. So that means there's a lot of people who rely. And again, when you look at percentage-wise and you talk about government shutdown, you're talking about postmen, right? Shit, I think the mailman's still working, ain't they? Is the mailman working? I don't think the mailman working, right? Mailman and people working in the government, you know, CEOs and all. Right? There's a nice portion of black people who work for the government, right? Then there's a portion of our people who rely on, you know, assistance, right? So it's kind of like, man, you know what I'm saying? It's like, man, like somebody's trying to like say, man, I shut all this shit down on y'all, right? You know what I'm saying? So, you know, okay, so I seen this story here. I kind of already did this already, right? I brought some light to it because, again, I know there were some people who that were under the assistant that didn't want too familiar what was going to happen. And again, I brought the information because, again, you know, I seen a lot of people in the black corner talking about the food stamps, and they was, you know, really ragging people who on it. But again, you know, sometimes situations are what they are, and it ain't incumbent on us to be sitting here and talking bad, talking about welfare queen and all that. Does it bother you personally? Is somebody on that? Again, I'm not saying, I don't know nobody who could just ride it. You know what I'm saying? I know people be saying it, but the way that the new stipulations of it, you got to put in 20 hours of work. It ain't like it was back some 20, 30 years ago. It ain't like that no more. So a lot of them need to drop that shit and talk about that again. Like I heard some people say about, like, you know, if you can't give somebody an exchange for them to get off, then why do you got a problem with it? And so people seem to be glee and have a twinkle in their eye because people are going to be suffering, right? That shit ain't cool. But again, here was this story here. And let me play it and see if come back. See if I can get it to work. Let's see if I can get it to work first. You know, let's see how it goes. Yeah, you know how it goes. You got to give me some hard time. We can't be, you know what I'm saying? You want to make sure that
could impact some of Oklahoma's neediest families.
Most hated show on the black corner of the internet. Don't go smoothly.
Section 8 to 10. The federal government shutdown could impact.
Right? It has to be raggedy because it's too good for you, right? That's what you got to do. Well, I tell you, boy, y'all some funny-ass people, boy. They're really some funny-ass people when they really break
some of Oklahoma's need. neediest families. Families relying on monthly housing assistance, commonly known as Section 8, could be impacted. Tonight, 2 Works For You reporter Tony Russell is live with how agencies are bracing for the worst if funding doesn't come through.
So the latest data that we have is that 23,000 Oklahomans are actually in that Section 8 program. We're told here in Tulsa, the housing authority here actually has reserves to go beyond that point if we continue with this shutdown. But those smaller communities, they tell me they could be in trouble.
Gidget Moeller has lived in her Muskogee home for 8 years now.
I'm kind of floored. I mean, it's my house. They pay half my rent, so I would be basically stuck, screwed. I'm kind of speechless.
And if March 1st arrives and the federal government is still shut down, Muskogee's housing authority says 750 families won't have the funds to help pay their rent.
I don't think people realize how big of an issue this is going to be.
Muskogee Housing says the federal program that pays out Section 8 is funded through February. After that, there could be trouble.
Right now we're looking at about $300,000 that on March 1st we don't know whether we'll be able to pay out or not.
Muskogee Housing sent these letters to Section 8 recipients like Moeller, warning them of the problem.
Some agencies, which are much larger than ours, have reserves to fall back on. Unfortunately, our agency is of the size where we really rely on that month-to-month subsidy payment from HUD that gets distributed out to our landlords.
Moeller's message to Congress:
work it out, figure it out, see what the next plan is. I mean, you got to open back up the government. This is like screwing all the little people.
And the doors are still closed if this federal shutdown goes on. We're told by the housing authority that those are currently on the waiting list are going to stay on that waiting list, even though some of the families have exited the Section 8 system. Reporting live in Tulsa tonight, Tony Russell.
All right. So once again, you know, the panic is setting in. They're starting to throw out numbers, saying people not going to get paid. Some people, again, you know, they need that assistance because, again, they relied on it because, again, that was part of the package. And the government shut down, so, you know, people feel a little unease, again, you know, holding hostage, right, to get what you want. Again, the chess move that's being played, it seemed like, well, I'm willing to negotiate if you want at this term, but then the other side was like, no, we're not going with that. So again, you know, if you got some money, then what's a week or two without a paycheck when, you know, y'all still getting y'all check? I don't think they not getting their money, right? I just think everybody else ain't getting their money, right? So, you know, again, they show you the face in these crises. It seems like when they do the footage is white folks, right? But everybody want to talk about when black people are the major people on these assistance and welfare programs when it's not. How could that be? Again, the numbers tell you. If you, the majority of the people in this land, ain't no way. That would, even if we had all of our people at 13, 14%, I still think you would have more people on your side than us on it. You know what I'm saying? But again, it's gone like the same thing about the kids, right? Those white kids, right? They don't want them to have the stigmatization of being, you know, disrespectful to Native American. That's okay. That's okay. If they, you know, we don't want to look that, but when it comes to the blacks, they didn't give a shit about that shit, right? So, you know, that's just how it is, man. Again, the system, and hopefully, for the sake for a lot of people, that it, you know, get up and running, because again, you know, don't hold hostage like that, man. They put a lot of people, and a lot of people say, well, it's a wake-up call so you could do something. But again, even with that being said, even if black people wanted to do, let's just say a lot of people that lives in areas that have a high employment area. Even if you wanted to work, but there ain't no jobs in the area that you live. Most people that live in certain, let's say, urban communities, right? They really don't work within their community. They have to travel to go to find work pretty much outside 10, 15, 20 miles outside of where they live, right? There don't be no accessible employment where they live. So that's why the employment be high, is because there's no accessibility to employment. And so I'm just saying, I don't understand why I see so many people who so happy about that shit. I don't, because again, you know, unless you in the comfortability of what that place you think that is safe, which is not around your own people, you don't want to be the only motherfucker that got groceries. You don't want to be the only motherfucker that got groceries. Walking out saying niggas getting shit bust for a bag. Where the hell it is? You know what I'm saying? You don't want that. So, you know, slow your roll on that, man. Everybody need to slow their roll. I'm tired of seeing videos about that. What motherfuckers out here constantly talking about that. Man, I hope this shit get back on, and we know it's gonna get back on because again, the majority of them are on it. So they can't keep holding them. You see how they was swelling up on them Israelites? Look where they was. You think they won't swell up over there? That's why they ain't in there now, right? They all up out of there. But you think they won't swell up on them? Shit, they'll swell up on them. Read their history, right? They'll do it. So, you know, they had to report that again. So, well, I'm hitting at the 2-hour mark, right? So I'm going to probably try to get it on out from here. They just really done made it hard for me to do what I'm doing. But I seen this, man, and I was like, hold on, man. Y'all crazy, man. Okay, look at this shit here, man. Look at this shit here. Now, I didn't even, man, I'm going to let you see it. I ain't going to say nothing. Let me just tell you, what did you see? What did you see? All right, hold on. Let's see if I can get it to play. You know what I'm saying? Because they been being, I mean, it's really shoddy, man. You know, let me check something, man. I'm going to know what I'm going to do. Hold on. Look at this. Look, huh? Yeah, boy. Really? Hold on. I mean, you either have to be in my system doing what you doing. You gotta be. There's no way you doing that. That ain't just happening like that. But okay, let's do it. Check this out, y'all.
Isn't it beautiful? So let's go about 6 more feet. Morning. Stop here just for a second. I'm going to step in front of this. You guys grab the sides of it. We'll pull it back this way.
Good morning, everybody. It's a great day. It's a beautiful day. And thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out.
What did you see? What did you see? Huh? Did you see some ceremony? Huh? Was that a photo op? What was that? Came in, walked in, did the, ceremony, you walked together, pick up the wreath, and up out of there. That was it. Huh? Man, you know what's funny is they love trying to use smidgets of Dr. King's speeches and then using it as some kind of talking point. They ain't care not 1 iota. They use it for whatever they use it, but they ain't get no care about no Dr. King, right? And especially, I mean, that was just, I don't know what to say what that was, right? I mean, I did that when Obama did that too. When Obama could have went to where they were, because they had that statue already built, right? They did the little black bus in the White House. Did y'all remember that? I did the video. Did anybody see that video? Had the little black bus went to it, nodded, and then they walked on. Like, man, y'all ain't even, like, really? We get it. I understand why. You know what I'm saying? 80% complicit in why he wasn't living no more. I get that. I get it. I get it. I get it. Right? But you're just doing it because, again, you got to make the Negroes believe that you really commemorative. He was a great man. And again, non-violence, man, but you killed them like violence. I mean, funny thing, right? So now check this out, right behind that, right? Now check this out. Man, they were just doing some whole lot of funky shit today. Look at this shit. Now listen what he say. I hope I can get this to play directly. Let's see this shit here. Hold on, man. He ain't gonna believe this shit. Hopefully I can get this shit to play.
I think what the American people saw the president do yesterday was say,
look at this.
I want to set the table for us resolving.
Look, how's it playing and the motherfucker stop? Get out of my shit, man. Get out of my shit, man. Give us free, goddammit. Give us free. All right, so let me go ahead. See if I can play it from here. All right, so let's see. 1, 2, 3, let's get it.
I think what the American people saw the president do yesterday was say, I want to set the table for us resolving this issue in a way that achieves his objectives to secure the border, end the humanitarian and security crisis, end the government shutdown, but also to bring together the Democrats' priorities to accomplish that. That's what the American people expect us to do. And honestly, the hearts and minds of the American people today are thinking a lot about it being the weekend where we remember the life and work of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. One of my favorite quotes from Dr. King was, "Now is the time to make real the promises of democracy." You think of how he changed America. He inspired us to change through the legislative process to become a more perfect union. That's exactly what President Trump is calling on the Congress to do. Come to the table in a spirit of good faith. We'll secure our border, we'll reopen the government, and we'll move our nation forward, as the President said yesterday, to even a broader discussion about immigration reform in the months ahead.
All right. So, did y'all hear that? Did you hear it? Did you hear Mike Pence, Vice President Mike Pence say, oh my God. He said, he compared Donald Trump to Martin Luther King. Did y'all hear that? And said that the quote that he took from Martin Luther King, Martin was talking about why everybody always try to take something from Martin and apply it to their own stuff as if like what he was doing went for his people. That whole thing, little girl, white boys and girls' hands, you trying to make that about diversity, right? As if like he wasn't really fighting for, black folks. That's what y'all trying to act like. Y'all like Martin wasn't doing for that. He was doing it for everybody. He was like immigrants and everything. Stop it. Huh? Anything not to deal with what you need to be dealing with. Huh? Anything. You say anything. But don't talk about them. He don't use Martin to talk about the government, about this immigration and this wall and about getting... Man, huh? Just disrespectful in so many ways, man. Disrespectful. But what do we expect, right? That's the way it's always been in our existence here in this country. It's always been a disrespectful way of how you've been doing it. You don't get no shit. Just like saying here, you don't like what I'm talking about, so you suppress me, trying to make everybody, well, ain't nobody listening to you. And I'm going to keep taking the subscriber away every 2 days. Every time you get some, I'm going to take them back. I'm going to keep you at this number to make you... Man, come on, man. Y'all some funny people, man. The that's the problem. You don't see, you don't come from where we come from, and you can't see and you can't feel. You have your interpretation, but you can never be in this shoe, baby. As much as you say what we ain't and how you do to keep us in, boy, I love being black. I'm going to say that again. I love being black. Do you? Because I do. Yeah, you got all this shit, but I know that's because I'm great. Because you are great. Anybody goes all out their way to do what they do to try to keep you in it, you got to be great. You would never do that to somebody who wasn't worthy of it. That don't even make sense. So you love the skin you in. Love who you are. Take it with pride. Huh? Matter of fact, let me show you this here, right? Because, you know, they always do this, right? They always want to throw the kids in there, right? They want to throw the kids, and, you know, kids is all happy about what, you know, what's going on, right? You know, they want to commemorate, and always, you know, it's about all this. But let me go and play it. Let me go and play it so it can be seen first. Hold on. See if I can play it. Okay? I mean, you just hear it. You just hear
with us because we want to celebrate the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Look, you do all that, man. You want anything to keep my shit raggedy. Anything. But I'm going to keep going, baby. We're going to keep pushing this. You got to see yourself.
This holiday audience with us because we want to celebrate the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Some of the best wisdom coming from some very special 4th and 5th grade students in Dallas and Houston. They gave speeches inspired by Dr. King at the Foley Gardier MLK Junior Oratory Competition. This year they were asked, what would Dr. King say to children of today's world?
The year was 1967. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. speaking to a group of young people about being their absolute best.
However young you are, you have a responsibility to seek to make your nation a better nation in which to live. You have a responsibility to seek to make life better for everybody.
Now, a new generation carrying on his message.
What would Dr. King say to today's children? No matter your ethnicity, race, or gender, you come from a people that fought to make life better.
What have you decided to do when you grow up? Will you be a doctor, a lawyer, or a teacher? You can be anything if you put your mind to it.
Let's get off of Facebook and put our face in a book.
He would tell us that words matter, so we should use words that inspire people instead of using words that are hurtful and unkind.
I think that he was an incredible person, and he still is.
Dr. King would say to the children of today's world that there's always room for improvement. Dr. King would say for us to take a chance to do better. If adults won't, then it has to begin with us.
It is not through separation, but the uniqueness that makes us all one. One nation, one power, one people, together.
Whatever you do, never, ever stop moving forward.
I got friends. They're all different kinds of colors. And I don't judge them by any color or any skin tone. I judge them by their heart.
If he walked through that door right now, I would be crying. I would want to tell him thank you for everything.
Thank you, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. What you started, we're going to finish it, and we're going to finish it well.
Today I was thinking, I met your 14-month-old son. What is your hope for him?
I mean, I hope that he has the kind of passion that those kids have, that he's as well-spoken. And I mean, especially the little girl who said, get off of Facebook, get your head in a book. That is good.
That's the one that stayed with me.
Right, you saw the gratitude with those children as well.
Yeah,
Thank you, Dr. King.
And your two girls, I mean, I've had the privilege of knowing them, and as socially conscious as they are and how they talk about their friends and just how they look at the world. It's a real tribute to you and Allie.
It's also great to see how much of Martin Luther King's message has been taught in the schools today. If you look back 20, 30 years, you didn't think that was going to happen. It has.
Well, the fact that we have, this was the 34th year that we've had it as a holiday. Yeah. I remember my first day at work at ESPN was on MLK Day. Moving from Atlanta to Bristol, Connecticut, and my first day of work was MLK Day in Bristol. I was like, here we go. It's on. I was like, really? I'm working?
You're here today.
I know. But it is. It's not a day off. It's a day on. Day of service. Well, hey there, GMA.
See? See? You know the funny part is? The people are the most downtrodden, disenfranchised. They still got hope and belief in something that, again, did you see in their face when it came to them? You know who I'm talking about. Oh, that woman, boy, if you go back and rewind, see that she wasn't not too happy with it. And when Robin said, you know, I know your two daughters, he flipped to change the channel. Oh, do you know they teach Martin Luther King in the schools? See, you got to always change. They ain't changing. They don't be changing. See, all this is about for us, right? And we're talking about how much we changing, what he inspired us to do. But see, it's good to use the mantra against us to tell us that Martin Luther King about loving, and then you throw, you always throw, you throw the token in reverse on this end, right? So it won't be so saturated, right? You got to throw it in there. It can't all be just you. It can't be just you. So you had to throw the little tokens in there, right? And here's the little ones again, we ain't gonna make fun of it, because again, what they say right now, and as they get in life and find out again till this thing change, that again it's kind of like a glass ceiling. You can see where you want to go, but you may find out there's a lot of obstacles to get through it. Yes, people are trying to crack it and break it and get through it, but the reality of it is, it sounds good, right? What's being said. But there's another side of that. It can't be unilateral. It can't be one people who doing all the changing, refining themselves and doing, and another side that's got the power to oppress you ain't doing shit. Do I gotta say that again? Do I gotta say that again? One side of the equation is doing everything, doing everything to try to make themselves better, do better, all this stuff, trying themselves, believing this stuff, trying to act like this don't exist, and the other people ain't doing shit really to change the status quo, because they can't. They got to stay that way. They know that shit. They're just not going to tell you that. So all this is just, again, formalities to get you in the mind, because they'll take it and see it, but every time it comes back, it throws it right back in their face. That a man that you said was nonviolence, that did this and that, and took the, and every time it throws back in your face, and then you look at where we are right now in time, it seems like all them kids and stuff, and but what would happen if you just said, we ain't gonna make that all back? Let's get everybody else to do it with their kids and stuff. Would they feel the same way? Why? It wouldn't be the same, because they're not seeing it from their perspective. The status quo got to stay in order for the business to stay open. If business change, it's a whole different business. And you say, well, where do I fit in there? So you've seen in that woman how she was looking, and you could see it. And then again, like I said, Robin threw it on him. I know your two daughters. He flipped that with the quickness, because we don't talk about that shit in my house. But he ain't want to say that shit, though, right? He ain't want to say that. Anyway, funny, though. Convenient to take the time to say his quotes to fit for whatever little bullshit you do, but you don't mean nothing when it comes to the man or what he stood for or what it was about. Because if that was the case, you'd have been on it. You'd have did something. Been 50 years, going on 51 years. Nothing. Nothing. And look at the condition it is today. You're about to put black folks in bankruptcy. Because you're trying to do something for the fight is to get other people, but nothing to do with it. I can see if they were shutting this down because we said we're going to reparate black folks. We're going to shut this down until we get this shit right, and then we're going to pay black folks for the shit so we can get this sin off our goddamn back. That ain't what you're trying to do. That ain't what you're trying to do. You ain't trying to do that. No, you not. You ain't trying to do that. Everything else but that. So everything will keep recurring back into you every time, throw it in your face to show you who you are, whether you want it or not. You're going to have to keep commemorating this. Everybody know get every time on this time. Well, he gets it twice. He get April 4th and he get January. Then February coming, right? And we in the 400 years, and I know a lot of y'all ain't been touching on that. We in the 400 years from 1619. Supposed to be saturating the fuck out of everybody. We really supposed to be doing that. Yeah, sure is. We supposed to be pouring it on. Pouring it. Ancestors demanding it. And most of y'all acting like you trying to wait for a specific day. The specific day is already was on January 1st, May 400. You ain't got to wait for no damn August or whatever the hell they talking about. Now is the time. Moving on. Moving on. Let's see who out in the crowd to see if I done ran everybody up out of here. Oh, man, I got only one left, huh? Okay, let's see what got in here. Shaking my head. Lord, hey, I had a political, unless it's not allowed. I had a, what do you mean, X? I had a political what question, unless it's not allowed. Go ahead, give me your question. Go ahead, what you got? Pose it to the panel. What you got? He said, Leonard DeYuta said that Martin Luther King is the white supremacist pseudo-Jesus. He worked both ways, bruh. He kind of the ghost of Christmas past. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they tried to use that, but then in one sense, it's kind of like that reflecting, you know, like back in the days to find that mirror and get the sunlight and then put in somebody's damn eye. That's kind of what Martin Luther King is. You know what I'm saying? The sun, he exists for it again, like you say, for the Jesus part, but then that reflection come and get him in the damn eye because again, it keeps showing you, you ain't done shit since then. You ain't made no changes. You ain't did shit, but the other people doing every damn thing to change, but you won't change. You won't change, huh? Where you at, X? I'm waiting on your question if you're still in here. If not, all right, moving on. Because I'm already at 220. I should have been already up out of here. All right. Moving on. All right, so I got this here. Well, let's see what I got here. Let's see. Well, yeah, let me go ahead and do this, right? Just for the simple fact of a reminder, again, 400 years, right? So I got to go give a little reminder. This one here, they probably going to be like, no, you can't use that, but it's all right. Hold on, come on, look at that. I mean,
Live for an African American.
Come on, let's go. Come on back. Let's get it. Damn, boy. I don't know how they doing that shit, but they got my shit running raggedy as fuck. All right, so let me go ahead and let's play this. Come on back.
Live for an African American held as a slave in the southern United States between the years 1619 and 1860 was one of extreme hardship and injustice. African Americans living as slaves had no freedoms of their own, owned no property, received no pay, were beaten or whipped for disobedience, and were bought and sold like animals. The large plantations in the South survived on slave labor. African Americans worked the fields, tended to the animals and farm chores, and worked in the plantation homes as cooks, housekeepers, seamstresses, servants, and nannies, receiving nothing in return but inadequate food and shelter. African Americans who were held as house slaves had somewhat better treatment than those who worked in the fields, though African Americans who worked in the plantation homes were treated more as pets than people. African American families could be split up and sold at auction depending on the needs of their owners. A large plantation in the southern states could have as many as 100 African Americans working the day-to-day chores. African Americans were controlled by the overseer who woke them at dawn and often worked them until dark. African Americans who didn't obey the overseer could be badly mistreated and beaten. Slave quarters were built separately and away from the main plantation house. These quarters were usually one room, dirt floor cabins with a fireplace. In some cases, African Americans living as slaves were allowed to have small gardens, pigs, and chickens by their cabins. This helped to give them healthier diets, but often the overseers left them very little time in the day to tend these gardens. An African American born as a slave on a plantation could live out his or her whole life there. They might never see the world outside the plantation boundaries. Their days would be dedicated to serving their owner, never receiving payment or freedom.
All right, so this is a little bit of history reminder. You know, this is where we come from. Most of us, not all of us, some of us, not all, but some, right? So we got to always keep reminding. See, this country got to be reminded. Because, you know, they want to say, that was a long time ago. Why you still on that? Because it ain't been cured yet. You ain't fixed it yet. You don't act like it don't exist. Let it heal on its own. Run them into the damn ground. Whatever this got to do, but we're not going to deal with that, right? Well, that's going to be your sin. You know that is the sin of this nation, right? You know you're not going to be able to get away from that until you know, what was that in Color Purple? That part that Whoopi Goldberg played? Remember that part where she was sealing? And at the table with, what was his name? I don't know his name, but you know who I'm talking about, Danny Glover. Came with that butcher knife, slammed on the table. Everything you do ain't gonna be right until you right by me. Ain't nothing going, Ain't gonna be no greatness no more until you get right by me. You can forget all that make America great again. That ain't gonna happen till you do right by us. See, some people just say, we can just go and get around it. But again, like I said, I don't know what a Christian means. Y'all claim to be that, but I don't know if y'all don't even understand what that is. So if that's what you labeling, titling yourself, and that's supposed to be tied to something, then that means that got to be real. And if that's real, then guess what? You ain't going to get right until you do right by us. It just, you know, everything runs its course, right? Everything runs its course. It can't stay this way forever. Somebody think they could just keep doing the same shit over and over, reheating it, and going to be the same forever. No. Change got to happen, right? Matter of fact, the Midas touch, well, we don't say the Midas touch. Right? It's Midas, but it's in destruction. It's the other way around. It's not everything touching gold. It's the other way around, right? To the fact that seasons, we don't even have 4 seasons anymore. That's how bad it's gotten. You know what I'm saying? We barely get a couple days. There's going to be some snow. And then it's going to be, you know, spring, summer. You know what I'm saying? Everything is off its balance, man. Shit got to get back into the way of it's got to get balanced again. And, you know, part of that process is, again, like they said, they had the March for Life. Nathan, what was his name? Nathan, you know, Nathan Phillips said that, you know what I'm saying? He was talking about all the indigenous on the planet. Only one person was not included in that. So that must mean that is the culprit. That everybody is being by this one individual. And until you recognize that and make some amends to that, and I know there's part of elements on the other side that just can't do it, well, it ain't going to be no much more greater. This got to be on the decline. You done ran that one. You done ran that on. You done ran that on. That game is over. That game is over. So, I think this show is over. I had one more. I do got one more, right? I did say it on there, right? I said about the skin color, right? Let me go and play that, man, because I'm at the 2:30 mark. Let me go and finish it up, because again, let's put it this way. They said this. Let me pull this out. Make sure I got the right one now. It got messed up earlier. That's why I don't really want to do it, because they messed me up, right? Let's see if this is the right one. Let me hide it so you can't see that. See if this is the right one. No, I know which one it is. Hold on. I know which one it is. Hold on. It's this one right here. Come on. Let's go and get it right. I'm going to end the show on that one. Is this the right one? I mean, look at that, man. It is like, it's crawling. It is crawling. I don't, you must have came in here and did this. Let's see. Hold on, y'all. Give me 1 second. I mean, this don't make no sense, man. None. 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 That makes no sense at all. No, that ain't it either. That ain't it. That ain't it. Come on. It's ridiculous, man. What I go through in here to do what I do. You really don't get it. You don't really get it. So I am going to do this. Let's see. Do this. So look at that now. What is this? What's this? All right. Be patient for me 1 second, y'all, because again, it's not doing what I wanted, because again, it's doing what it wants to do, because I have other unforeseen things in the background happening. And it's a shame that that's the way it has to be. But I get it. Now, see, that's what that is. That ain't what I want. See? All right, I'm just going to end and come back and do that on the second show. How about that? I'll save that one. Well, I got it on the title, so I got to do it. Hold on, y'all. 1 quick second. Why is it doing all this? It got to be this one. All right, come on. I mean, they just really scrambled it all up. If you was here, the only way you could see it. Me here, and you hear me talking about it, you don't really get it. All right, this is it. Well, that was two. That was another one I was supposed to do, huh? I'll say that for the next show. How about that? Because this here, they just too much, man. It's just too much. Look at this. Look at this, man. Y'all, if y'all could just see what I had to do, you wouldn't believe me. You hear me talking, but you wouldn't believe. You would not believe it. You would be like, nah, I think Mr. Blowman, you be making that up. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. Right? So I'm going to do this. We're going to just go ahead, set the 2-hour mark. Let me go back and see and give a shout out to those who did come to the show. Right? I don't know this XXXX, whatever that is. Leonard the Yuta. I got Furious God in the house, just pulling up, got caught up on the last show, my bad. You all good over here, brothers. I got Mr. Spencer 620, y'all Buka Bay, right? I see people pouring in now, huh? Now you want to come in now, right? All right. Let me see if I'm going to go ahead. Let me give you, I can't give you that, man. That's it, man. That's it for the show tonight. The other times they ain't going to do you no good, right? Because they holding me up. Everything is real slow. So I can't get it off the way I want to, so I'm going to have to call it a night. But I will be back for tomorrow's show. Hopefully I can get it better. I'm going to have to do some other things to try to make it work, because they're doing a lot of things behind the scene, man, that just don't make no sense. Because they got to prove that nobody watching my show. That's basically, they really doing that. Unless most of y'all agents in here now, right? That could be that too, right? All right, so hold on. Damn, man. Y'all, I mean, look at y'all, man. Y'all don't know, man. You just really don't know. All right, so let me go on and call it a night, call it a show, man, because this is ridiculous. I mean, it is crawling. My system is crawling. I mean, it is crawling. And I mean crawling. Like, I've never seen it like this before. So I guess they really didn't want me to do this. So anyway, I want to thank everybody who came out tonight. Whether he gave me a like, dislike, comment, say you didn't like what he didn't like about it. Again, it was a little, got out of pocket a little bit because they messed up the ISUPK Black Hebrew part, right? So I had to go back and play this. So I've been a little longer than they had a couple more should have did. Didn't happen. But appreciate that you was here, listen to a brother. Whether you hit that like button, comment, subscribe. And again, this is the most hated show on the black corner of the internet. Until the next show, stay black with love to the fam, subscribers, passerbys. John Henry Clark has always told us, we ain't got no friends as long as just us, y'all. Until we understand that unify once again and understand that everything might be against us, then we unify together, then at least we have something as a fort for protection, right? Not so much have to be about war, just the fact that we can take care of one another. Again, see the other one, get that universal nod, sister, what's good, how you doing, all that good stuff. And, let's cut some of this shit out between us, man, because, again, all we got is each other. So until the next show, peace, love, and black and hair grease and all that good stuff. And we're going to go out on this. You know, I got to give you this one if it's going to work. See, look at it. It is crawling, man. I ain't... Y'all, boy, I tell you. You don't believe I'm the most hated show in the corner? You ain't figured it out.
Program may be unsuitable for younger or more sensitive viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Remember, the enemy has only images and illusions, behind which he hides his true motives. Destroy the image, and you will break the enemy.
I'm here to tell you tonight that the businessmen, the mayor of this city, the police commissioner of this city, and everybody in the white power structure of this city must take a responsibility for everything.
Lutheran in this arena tonight are unified by the same great American values. We're proud of our country. We respect our flag. Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of off the field right now, out, he's fired. He's fired!
Race is when you use your power and influence to subject people into inferiority. Utterances can't be racist.
Look around you, man. They own this shit. They own this couch you sitting on, them shoes you got on your feet, this building, this school, this country, you. We're behind enemy lines, dog.
So you must first of all remember that this system was not originally designed with black people in mind. Right on! And it was not prepared for black people to, in the end, begin to demand their rights and an equal share in this country which they died for. Right on! Hey, and we definitely are not going back to Africa.
In the church, we used to sing the song, "Good news, the chariot is coming." While you sit here today, knowing that you have come to hear good news, you must realize in advance what good news for you might be bad news for somebody else. What good news for the sheep might be bad news for the wolf.
They say, oh, things are getting so much better for you. In 1849, they was hitting blacks on the head 100 times a day. In 1990, they hit them 48 times a day. Isn't it better? Oh, it's got to be better. You're saying 52 blows.
The only purpose of most black Americans on earth today is to destroy.
I think that's noble. Italians love Italians. When Irish love Irish. But when a nigga loves a nigga, it's an unpardonable sin.
They have blood in their hands. When we say they have blood in their hands, we are not saying him, George Bezos, went and killed. But white people colonized us. They dispersed us. They enslaved our people. They sucked our economy dry. They are still sucking it dry even today. That's white people. Tony Blair, George Bush, Napoleon Bonaparte, Leopold, Adolf Hitler, Benjamin Netanyahu. All white people, they are the same. They are racist and they are full of hate.
I've been waiting for you. You have many questions, and though the process has altered your consciousness, you remain irrevocably human. Ergo, some of my answers you will understand, and some of them you will not. Concordantly, while your first question may be the most pertinent, you may or may not realize it is also the most irrelevant.
Why am I here?
Our world is coming crumbling down. The coons are coming.
You have to understand that white America has an uncanny way of making the victim the victimizer. Excuse me, master, for putting my head in the way of your club. Not that your club is brutalizing my head and putting hickeys on it. My head got in the way of your free swing and broke your shiny stick, and I want to apologize for that.
Your life is the sum of a remainder of an unbalanced equation inherent to the programming of the Matrix. You are the eventuality of an anomaly which, despite my sincerest efforts, I have been unable to eliminate from what is otherwise a harmony of mathematical precision. While it remains a burden assiduously avoided, it is not unexpected and thus not beyond a measure of control, which has led you inexorably here.
There are more connections in the human body than there are stars in the galaxy. We possess a gigantic network of information to which we have almost no access.
Matrix is older than you know. I prefer counting from the emergence of one integral anomaly to the emergence of the next, in which case this is the 6th version.
5 months before me. There are only 2 possible explanations. 5 months before me. Either no one told me, or no one knows.
Precisely. Gathering, the anomaly is systemic, creating fluctuations in even the most simplistic equations.
Control me! I'm gonna smash you to biscuit! You can't make me do anything like trick! Choice. The problem is choice.
Let us remember that we are not brutalized because we're Baptist. We're not brutalized because we're Methodist. We're not brutalized because we're Muslim. We're not brutalized because we're Catholics. We're brutalized because we are black people in America.
Because white people made him to be what he is. They made him to look evil, because that's their role, to make all of us black people to look evil and to hate ourselves. I can't hate.
You're a nigga till you die. If you're a poor nigga, you're a poor nigga. If you're a rich nigga, you're a rich nigga. But you never stop being a nigga, and if you get to be educated, you're just an educated nigga.
I'm told every day I'm on air that I'm racist because I call out racism. That is maddening to me, and I'm crying about it because it's crazy.
So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is teaching you and I and trying to tell the white man to get this powder keg out of his house. Let the black man separate from his house. Let the black man have his own house. Let the black man have his own land and his own property.
I thought the bitch was white! Damn it! I thought the bitch was white!
That's true. I think that white people are so guilty, knowing what they've done to black people, that they feel if the deeds were reversed, they would hate the black man if he had done the same thing to them. So it's actually, it reflects a guilt complex on the part of whites when they ask us, do we hate them? And if you notice, Uncle Sam has formed a habit of going all over the world. He calls it the ugly American, or the American image. He thinks that everybody hates him because it's a guilt complex. And if you think that if you are worried about Europeans hating you, and they're your allies and your cousins, well, naturally it would follow for you to think that Negroes in this country would hate you, especially in light of what has been done to black people in this country by white people.
Now check it out. The white ball dominates everything, right? Knocks the shit out the yellow ball, the red ball, right? And the game's over when the white ball drives the black ball completely off the table.
But you have to see that all of this is hypocrisy.
I love Malcolm. Malcolm called me the Sunday that he died. I was working Basin Street East. He said, Brother Greg, you coming by today? And I said, Malcolm, I love you. And I said, I love you so much, I don't even want to take a chance to be there. He said, what do you mean, Brother Greg? I said, well,
closed tonight, Sunday night at Basin Street East. And I said, but I had my wife book me a flight into Chicago at 8 o'clock this morning. And I'm going to Chicago, and I had way beneath my salary, booked me into a college about 10 miles from the airport. And I'm going to go there and speak this afternoon, and I'm going to stay there until they tell me you did. Because I'm not going to let this government get two of us for the price of one. And I'm going to call Adam Clayton Powell when I finish talking to you and beg him not to come there. Because today, the United States government is going to get you.